Sarah Kite has asked us on Facebook, do you need to reproof your tent, and if so, how often? It's very rare actually that you would need to reproof the actual fabric of a tent. It'll only actually start giving up after really years and years of use and sort of a lot of exposure to the sunlight. But modern tent fabrics are so durable and so well made. They're incredibly waterproof and they will stay like that for years. When your tent does need reproofing, you'll notice that the actual fabric is wetting out and the water's not beading off. And you can see the water there is just pouring off the tent. When I tap it, it all beads off. And when a tent does need reproofing, the water will stick to that and all the fabric will actually wet out. And it's very likely that the water's actually going to come through the fabric of the tent. I mean, a new tent, they're very, very waterproof. And basically, tent fabric doesn't leak. A lot of people do mistake the moisture that you get on the inside of a tent with leaking. And we do get people bringing tents back saying, well, my tent's leaking all over the roof. Basically, that is condensation, it's not leaking. So that's just the moisture inside the tent sticking on the fabric. The only time you're actually probably going to see that a tent is leaking, and that's after a lot of use, or potential damage, is actually on the seams. That's the only really place where water will come into a tent. Now all these seams are stitched through and then they are sealed with a rubber coating, as you can see there. So if you do notice that your tent is leaking, it will be through a very specific point, and that's just where the seam has started to pull off. And again, that'll be after a lot of use that'll happen, so after years. So if that does happen, you can easily reseal it with something like this, which is a seam sealer. So if you have a look at that, it's just a sort of fabric applicator, and there's a sort of gel-like liquid in here. So say I'd spotted my tent, chucking it down with rain, we notice that we're getting a leak sort of running down here. So it's very easy to apply. You just squeeze it on. It's not going to look quite as neat as it does when they come new from the factory, but as long as the tent's not leaking, you should be happy. So again, you can just do that all the way down. And if it's a bit runny or a bit too much, you can sort of smooth it out with your thing. And that will be nicely resealed. Okay, when it does come to the time that your tent needs reproofing, and when you've noticed that it's wetting out, there's a couple of products you can use. You've got Fabsil, I'll show that there, and you've got Nikwax Tent and Gear Proof. The Fabsil is a silicone-based product that you apply to the tent when it's dry. The Nikwax is a water-based product, and the tent needs to be wet. So if you come in a bit, Andy. In fact, how am I going to do this so I can speak to you as well? There we go. Now obviously, the challenge with getting this tent wet is it's brand new. So all the water is rubbing off it, but if there did need reproofing, this area would wet out, and then with the Nikwax, don't do it upside down, you'd spray it on, and then with a cloth, just rub it in a bit. Obviously, as this tent is brand new, you can see that it's just beading off. With the Fabsil, which is the silicone-based one, this goes onto the tent. I'll put it up onto this bit here. This just goes on when the tent is dry. So it's just like you're a graffiti artist. Spray it on. I think it's great. I mean, today's a perfect day for doing it because of the sunshine. That's going to dry in no time, and that's going to be reproofed. And that's how it is. This is Camping Live. Cheers.